and welcome to Pro Tour Hollywood. I'm Randy Buehler here with Brian David Marshall, and we are ready to find out who is going to win the quarterfinals, who is going to take the next step on their path to $40,000 and a Pro Tour title. Match we're going to focus on, wow, what a feature match. Paulo Vitor Damagerosa, one of the real stars of the Pro Tour. 3 top 8s over the course of the last couple of years. He's piloting the deck of the tournament, Fairies, the defining deck in this field, but he's playing against Shuhei Nakamura, who's got main deck Thoughtseize, you see right there. Thoughtseize deprives Paulo of a Rune Snag. And now if you look at that draw, there were only 5 cards in that draw. And if I saw correctly, there was only 1 spell.
Yeah.
And it's gone now. Yeah, so Paulo's got the awesome Fairy deck, but cannot be feeling good about 4 lands and nothing else as he starts his turn.
That looks like it was a double mulligan to start this.
Yes, Paulo had the double mulligan. Shuhei came out with a Thoughtseize, followed by a turn 2 Tarmogoyf.
Not an elf, but
yeah, it'll get the job done.
A friend of the elf tribe.
Very, very much a friend of the elf tribe. So Shuhei Nakamura, in his 5th top 8. This guy has been on top of the Pro Tour. He's been near the top of the Player of the Year standings. He's been, level 6, level 8, whatever the top level is for any given year. That's where Shuhei's hanging out. He's flying to Grand Prix. He's living the life.
He was the Road Warrior?
Absolutely. Was the Road Warrior to the Invitational last year. Here comes Tarmogoyf smashing in for a couple. Civic Wayfinder comes down to pick up another land.
Civic Wayfinder's a card that's we've seen a surprising amount of this weekend, and see a surprising amount of in this top 8. A number of players, again, were quibbling over the Civic Wayfinder in elf decks and whether or not it belonged. But as I'm pointing out, that so many of these matches go to your big mana spells, your commands, whether they be primal or
and here comes Garruk. Wow. Oh, but a Rune Snag. Paulo's got that Garruk covered. I don't know what he's doing about Tarmogoyf and Civic Wayfinder, though. Now there's a Planeswalker in the graveyard, too, so that's 5 power.
A Planeswalker and an instant. Oh, there was already an instant.
Yeah. Bitter Blossom comes down.
So Bitter Blossom's like a force field here. Pay 1 life each turn to prevent from the...
I suppose so.
Tarmogoyf.
Is that up to 5 already? Instant Sorcerer Planeswalker? Seems like 3. Take 7? Oh, Mutavault, too. Paulo takes 7. It's about half his life total. He's going to take another one from Bitter Blossom.
Tick.
Derosa's at 6. Squaring off against 3-power Tarmogoyf, Civic Wayfinder, a Llanowar Elf, and a Mutavault, and a Treetop Village. Activates the Mutavault. Does not activate the Treetop. He's worried about the command. That makes sense. Doesn't want to get all those creatures tapped. Well, if he does, he wants to be able to cast a spell.
Or activate his Treetop Village after that.
Sure. Oh yeah, you're right. That's a nice play. Can Paulo get out of this from 6 life facing that forward?
He's going to trade Mutavaults. He's going to maybe
trade Mutavaults. Take shove Tarmogoyf, take 2 down to 4. Yeah, if he puts Mutavault in front of Mutavault, takes his Fairy token, chump block a Tarmogoyf, and falls to 4.
Scion of Una would have been pretty exciting there.
Yes, it would have.
Kept the Mutavault that way, at least.
You probably would have traded with Wayfinder in that case.
Yeah. Spell Stutter Spray.
Nameless Inversion takes it out of play. Here comes a Fairy token. Paulo down to 3.
That's the infuriating thing about the Fairy deck. Sometimes they just won't die.
No commands, and a bunch of attackers. Paulo is looking. He's got a Mutavault and a Fairy. Yep. Yeah, nope, there you go. Game 1. It's just Shuhei Nakamura takes a quick 1-0 lead. Paulo had to double mulligan, and Shuhei came blasting out of the gates. You almost feel bad if you're Shuhei, like you wasted a good draw there.
I don't think you ever feel bad going up 1 game in the top 8 of a Pro Tour. I mean, both of these guys have multiple top 8. Five for Shuhei, 3 for Paulo.
Right.
But neither player has the win.
It's true.
And this could be the match that determines which one is certainly determine the first of these two to get there.
It's true. Yeah, I mean, the winner should be seen as the best player for the rest of the top 8. I mean, I think that's an easy argument. I mean, and these are certainly two of the best players without a Pro Tour win.
Right.
I mean, so often you talk about sort of best player without a top 8, but I mean, best player without a win is kind of an interesting debate too. Kenji doesn't have one either.
Well, then it's not very interesting, that debate.
I think it's, I don't know.
Masashiro Iso also does not have one.
I mean, you want to talk about Kenji, I feel like the torch has been passed to France. Best player in the game right now, I believe, is Guillaume Wakatapa, and not Kenji Samura. So I think that torch has passed literally over the last couple of months.
But Guillaume has his title.
Guillaume does have a title, that's fair. But I mean, Kenji is not on top. It's not clear that he is the Kenji that he was a year ago.
Right.
I mean, you got Guillaume Wakatapa playing 50 hours of Magic a week, and he's surrounded by good deck builders, and he's awesome.
But that's only 3 matches.
Touche. So what does the sideboarding do to this matchup?
Well, we've got Damnation from Paulo, which is going to be a huge battle that this was fought on. For some reason, Paulo yesterday didn't seem to think that there were thought seizes, but in Shuhei's list. But
well, it wasn't in sideboards. Paulo was first. He was happy. He's like, "Hey, no hand destruction in the sideboard."
Oh wait, that's main deck.
Or in the main.
As we've seen.
Sorry.
So yeah, but the Damnations are obviously a big deal here.
Okay, that makes sense.
You see the kind of draws that Shuhei wants to get to win. Mm-hmm. You've seen how Paulo already. We've seen how Paulo can just sort of slow him down and buy some turns if he's under the gun with a Bitter Blossom and reset with a Damnation. So the matchup swings nicely. This is going to be Damnation versus Thoughtseize after sideboarding, I think.
Okay. Does Shuhei have anything else on the board? He's just got his main deck configured to be reasonable.
Well, he's got his Bitter Blossoms.
Okay.
He's got. It is an interesting card. We're not going to see it in this matchup, but
Incremental Blight.
He's got Incremental Blight in his sideboards. Yes.
Wow. Interesting.
Obviously, for a lot of the persist decks that were out there.
Sure.
Just get rid of those kitchen finks. Make them go away.
That'll
come
work.
back. Also, the one-sided Damnation is sometimes pretty nice.
I can imagine. Worth paying 5 for, right?
I'd be curious to see if he brings in his Bitter Blossoms.
I would think so. I mean, what are they there for if it's not to counteract this, for this matchup?
Right.
Is there a matchup where they're better for him?
I can't imagine.
Yeah, they have to be for this matchup.
I've given up trying to fully understand Shuhei Nakamura's thought process, though. He definitely marches to a different drummer.
It's true.
And a much more successful drummer than most people march to.
The Darwin Castle of Japanese Magic?
It's possible.
I mean that as a compliment.
Yeah, obviously.
Very much
obviously. I think Shuhei would be pretty happy with Darwin's career resume.
He's closing in on it. Darwin was in this tournament for a while.
Well,
he and Rob Dougherty.
At the end of day one, he and Rob Dougherty were both top 16. He had a pretty bad early run on day 2, but Rob was still in contention right up until the end. It was a good Hall of Fame weekend. We had a nice solid performance from Zvi.
Yeah, Zvi was playing in the last
Hall of Fame weekend we missed last time out.
Oh, in KL, that's true. It was interesting. You talk about Zvi. He lost the first 3 matches of this tournament, and he was playing in the last round to miss top 8 on tiebreakers.
Right.
I mean, he knew he couldn't make it, but he would have been tied with Paulo if he had won the last round. He lost, put him in about 30th, because of course the breakers were terrible.
Right. He started 0-3, went on an 8 or 9-0 run.
8-0, then picked up a loss, and then rattled off a couple more.
Right.
All right, looks like Paulo's actually going to keep 7. And Shuhei will keep his draw. Land from Paulo. No first turn plays for either player. Turn 2 Ancestral Visions, right on schedule. And there is the Bitter Blossom.
The Tenchu Bitter Blossom on the wrong side of the table.
Shuhei brought him in, and he'll have the edge.
Paulo loans him some fairy.
That's funny. You get a psychological edge by boarding that in against the fairy player. You know he's going to have tokens. You don't have to bring any to the tournament, right? There's no way in Paulo's deck to actually get that Bitter Blossom off the table, right? The pretty full art Infuria is perfect.
Can't imagine that blue-black has a lot of enchantment removal options, or was it?
I guess you could bounce it with a primal command.
Yeah,
That's any permanent.
Cryptic command, yes. Yeah. He's gonna want to cryptic command it and steal it.
Counter it on the way back.
Counter it on the way back down.
And he's got, he's clearly playing the card advantage game this game. He's going to have time to resolve those 2 Ancestral Visions, those 6 extra cards. It's going to give him the ability to stitch together a control plan.
Yeah,
what else has Shuhei got going on? Got a Tarmogoyf, another Perfect. Ooh, another Bitter Blossom. A quick update on the back table. Looks like Charles Gindy has gone up a game on Nico Boni. Bunch of creatures on both sides of the table. Gindy had a big Profane command to get his through, so Charles Gindy up 1-0 on Nico Boni.
Sounds about the way Gindy called it. He felt like he was he had a slight edge game 1, but he felt like he was disadvantaged coming out.
Tarmogoyf attempted, but the command will counter the Tarmogoyf and bounce the Perfect. Fairy token crunches in for 1.
Oh, there's a second Bitter Blossom.
Crazy.
Tremble in Paulo's hands there. He was counting on those Damnations doing something for him in the games 2 through 5. And
so Paulo, welcome to your opponent's nightmares. This is how your opponents have felt over the course of the tournament. It's the double Bitter Blossom shuts down all of their action.
There's a Razormane Mastercore.
Razormane Mastercore.
Something to do with all that card advantage that's coming up over the next couple turns.
Yeah, I suppose, but that is not a good fight against double fairies every turn.
And maybe this is why Shuhei has just had such a dominating performance against fairies throughout this throughout his day 2.
Because he can draw double Bitter Blossom?
Yeah.
He can draw double Bitter Blossom every game. He should have just played fairies. Civic Wayfinder.
Civic Wayfinder for the island, Scion of Una.
And a Tarmogoyf. All right.
Look at the...
1 Ancestral is going to resolve for Paulo. He's going to get to draw 3.
Difference in body language between the 2 players. A little snap and point from from Shuhei. A little bit of a tremble from Paulo.
Paulo's got a Razormane Mastercore to resolve here. Discard a card to keep it around, then he gets to pick off one of those creatures.
Oh.
He's got to be thinking about deploying a Damnation, too, at some point. No, he lets the Mastercore go. Okay, I think it's Damnation time. The other Ancestral suspends down to 1. Takes 1 from an Underground River, and...
Shuhei doesn't even waste any time.
Yeah, this card screws up.
River of Tears shows him, I think, a Mistbind Click.
Yeah, Paulo wants to keep up Runestack Mana here. Oh, is that a Tomb? Is that Yawgmoth in the play? Or,
yeah. Judge was asking him why he didn't take damage to his undergrounds. They make black for free.
Yep.
Smells like Prophecies.
Yep. 4 mana left, so Shuhei can pay for... what is that?
Mistbind Click.
Yeah, it takes the Mistbind Click.
There's nothing for it to click on.
Leaving a Mastercore.
I think it's 2 Runestacks, yes.
That's not going to get the job, though. So you can cast this. I guess there's no Runestacks in the yard yet, or is there one? The U-Vault comes over for 2. Other Ancestral Resolves.
Can you imagine talking about a match where you say Ancestral resolves twice, and the person it resolves for might not win? There's another Razormane Masticore.
Yep. Yeah. That just loses. I mean, Razormane Masticore looks like it's good in this matchup, except against the Bitter Blossom clan. Right?
Yep.
Should be awesome without the ground combat with elves and Tarmogoyfs. These little 1/1 flyers are just going to eat Paulo alive here. He's got to come up with command and bounce counter. I mean, it's too late for Bitter Blossoms of his own to cancel them out, right?
Right.
Doesn't have the life total to play with. He's too far behind on board.
Discards a Rune Snag.
Yeah, picks off the perfect. Okay.
Sounds like we're going to get an update from some of the other tables here in a couple minutes. While Apollo tries to figure its way out.
I just did it. So in other matches, Young-Han Shu is now up a game on Marin Lebert. Got the combo, pulled it all off, Greater Garidon, body double, etc.
Double
Rinse,
frowny
lather,
face.
repeat. Yeah, the double frowny face from Lebert. He's down a game now. Roos and Mahara are still embroiled in game one. Mahara did steal a Snake River Guide with the Thrower of Temptation.
Ooh.
And as we mentioned before, Gindy's up a game on Boney.
There's a Mutavault go from Apollo.
Yeah, he's got the ground under control with that Masticore. But I mean, you see, even Shuhei, this is why he takes Mistbind Click, even though there was nothing for it to click on. He just doesn't want there to be a flying blocker.
Right.
Like, have your Masticores. Fine. I'm just going to attack
The
in
ground
air.
is yours.
It's really weird that the Elf deck is losing on the ground and the Fairy deck is going to lose the game in the air. That looks like exactly what we're seeing. What is it, 8-8 now? Is there a race back scenario for Paulo here? I mean, have those Bitter Blossoms taken enough life away from Shuhei that...
Can I play your guy and bounce me to one?
Yes, there is.
And bounce me.
This might be the game right here.
There's still a Treetop Village to block. He can activate a couple of Mutavaults.
He only has to deal 6.
Only has to deal 6, it's true. Oh, and he can survive another turn, too. There's 6 tokens against him. Wow, Paulo has set this whole thing up, hasn't he?
6 tokens and a treetop, though.
Oh, but Treetop has to block. And Treetop has to block specifically Masticore, right? Isn't it a forced block? If he takes 2 Mutavaults, if he takes 2 Mutavaults down to 4, then he does not. If he takes a Masticore hit, he'll take 7 damage. He has to block Masticore.
Right.
Unless there's a trick in Shuhei's hands, then it's a forced block and Treetop dies to Masticore, so Paulo can survive the crackback with 6 fairy tokens. Alright, Paulo attacks with Razormane Masticore, Mutavault. Shuhei's on 8, and he knows Bitter Blossom is going to send him to 6 next turn. So he cannot afford to take 6 damage. Only available blocker is a Treetop Village. Figuring out exactly which mana to tap to activate it. I mean, another command here from Paulo is game, right?
Yes.
Shuhei activates the Treetop. Does he get to block with it? Looks like it. And he is obliged to stick it in front of Masticore. Oh, and there's a Terror for one of the Mutavaults.
Which gets Spellstutter Sprite.
Spellstutter Sprite, which...
And you said he couldn't win in the air.
Alright, 2 more tokens, but Shuhei is down to 2.
and dead on his next turn.
He's dead on his next turn. He doesn't survive to another attack phase. Yeah, wow. Paulo
Very well played.
Vitor, very well played. The Brazilian evens this at a game apiece. Great games. He's just totally on top of this deck. Paulo understands everything this deck is capable of every situation. And no, it turns out, you resolve Ancestral twice, you do not, in fact, lose. Not even to the double bitter
It
blossom.
just shows you the power of the Cryptic Command. That
True.
card is just so amazing.
We thought it was the card he was looking for in order to bounce the bitter blossom, but
He just wanted to tap the guys.
well, on the other tables, Marin Le Baird has Magus to the Moon in play.
Okay.
So the happy face, perhaps, from Marin. He may be able to even that match at a game apiece. And I think I heard that Makihito Mahara has taken a one-game lead on Jan Roos. Second sower of Temptation, and doesn't sound like he needed the combo. A couple of sowers is good enough to get the job done on its own a lot of times.
Young Heng Chu only has, looks like he only has 5 basic lands in his deck. So that Magus to the Moon can keep him from doing what he needs to do.
Of course, you say that, but he's got 2 islands and 2 Cold Steel Hearts in play right now. So Young Han Chu facing the Magus to the Moon, but seems like he's probably going to be able to cast the spell.
I think LeBair's plan for the Magus to the Moon was not necessarily mana denial so much as
Color.
beatdown.
A beatdown. That's pretty fast talk for his deck, isn't it? 3 mana 2/2.
He needed to bring in the Grey Ogres.
Oh. Game 2 of Gindy Pony, pretty much what you'd expect to see again with a Colossus on both sides of the board.
Right. Gindy said that matchup was going to come down to Colossus advantage.
Okay.
And again, his 4 Civic Wayfinders, can possibly get him to 8 mana where he can double activate his Colossus in a sort of Colossus collision.
Boy, that card was everywhere this weekend.
Yeah, fairies. I mean, if you count that as a fairy, almost everyone seems to be playing fairy decks.
Sure. I think it's just the Colossus tribe took over the top 8.
Yeah. Nico is only playing 3 Colossus, so the advantage is already Gindy's in the Colossus matchup. Nico said he wished he played. He said that was his MVC, most valuable card, and wished he had played 4. That was his one regret about the deck at the end of the Swiss, was that he didn't have 4 Colossus.
Makes sense.
Interesting to see if that's
They may hurt him against Gindy.
what hurts him in this matchup.
Definitely could.
Gindy's another player who seemed, you talk about someone who's played their deck and seems to understand the matchup and seems really confident with what his deck does. And he seems to have just complete confidence in his ability to make the deck do what it needs to do in any given situation.
He also seemed just on top of the world to finally put a Pro Tour top 8 up on his resume. He's been playing forever.
He's been playing since he's 12 years old.
Right.
Over 10 years. And said when he made the top 8, he has 3 finals appearances at Team Grand Prix with 3 different sets of wingmen.
It's true. Absolutely true. He's a master,
which
Team
is
Limited.
really a testament to him. But he said, what he's been dreaming about his whole Magic career is getting here onto this stage. So, it was really a really nice moment for him. It was fun to be there and watch that happen.
Well, Paulo and Shuhei have shuffled up for Game 3, tied at 1 game apiece.
Starting the match with 14 cards.
Llanowar Elves from Shuhei.
Is that a Fairy Conclave?
And Shuhei came out with a quick Game 1 victory versus a double mulligan. Paulo looked like he was in trouble for most of Game 2, facing off against 2 different sideboard cards, a double Bitter Blossom draw from Shuhei, but came back to win it, thanks to 2 card advantage from 2 Ancestrals.
Thoughtseize, he's a Murderous Red Cap, a Cryptic Command, looks like a Bitter Blossom.
You take away turn 2 Bitter Blossom, right?
Another Cryptic Command, and
suddenly that draw is
lands.
slow. Take away the Bitter Blossom. Paulo's got no action until turn 4 with that draw.
Tarmogoyf for Rinrun's Vanquisher here. Right. Tarmogoyf with
Already
sorcery,
2 power.
tribal, and enchantment in the yard.
Oh, 3 power, right?
Yes, the tribal nature of Bitter Blossom, which makes this deck so infuriating to play against.
Actually hurting him here. Oh, the Spellstutter Sprite came down. Off the top for Paolo. Manages to stop the Llanowar Elves, but still going to get hit for 3.
With a Ren's Run Vanquisher on deck for next turn.
Right. This is a Damnation game, right? We said this matchup after sideboarding might come down to Thoughtseize versus Damnation. Well, the Thoughtseize didn't find a Damnation. Shuhei has done his best to clear a path.
But Paolo hasn't found his Damnation yet either.
Right, well, I mean, it's the way Shuhei's supposed to play it, right? Thoughtseize, there's no Damnation. Dump the hand, smash him in a couple of turns. But, I mean, there's going to be a window here where Paolo can come up with Damnation. He'll be able to stabilize and probably recover and win this game, right?
The problem with discard, you pointed this out to me once, is that at this level of play, discard's always a little more
Control
difficult.
the top of the deck.
People's decks are filled with good cards.
Yeah. Spellstutter tries to trade with Llanowar Elves, but Pendelhaven saves the Elves.
Right. Really, it just Rishadan ports a land.
So DeRosa down to 9. He's at 4 mana.
Murderous Redcap's going to take something in. Takes out the elf.
It's
One
only
more
one
mana
mana
denial.
That's also why he wanted the Pendelhaven trap, right? Tap.
Yeah.
And that Nameless Inversion.
Nameless Inversion is the Redcap. Redcap comes back with a counter on it. Does that point to Shuhei.
And jumps Tarmogoyf, sure. DeRosa at 6. Alright, Shuhei goes ahead and adds Civic Wayfinder. Not afraid to lose another creature to a potential Damnation. Just wants to make sure that a chunk blocker is not good enough to keep Paolo alive.
Paolo, looks like Paolo has the 5th land for Razormaid Massacre. The only problem is the Pendelhaven.
Oh, Pendelhaven to implode. No Razormaid Massacre. No Damnation.
Chapel your Aaron and bosses.
But he does have the command.
And sets him back a turn rather than drawing a card.
Interesting.
Right, he could have been easily tap your guys, draw a card.
It's true. This way Paolo gets 2 draw phases. Potentially find the Damnation that he needs to stabilize.
I think we're gonna...
Another command?
Yeah, another command.
Chapel your guys record.
And this time he draws. Okay. Fairy deck is infuriating in the late game. It just refuses to die.
It also refuses to draw land.
Refuses
5.
to draw land 5 from Massacre, refuses to draw Damnation. Oh, but here's another command. Number 3. And
this is where you see that Ancestral Visions, that, you know, the supposed drawback of Suspend. She just, he just drew here.
looks like triple Massacre and Ancestral.
Vendilion click. He's going to click himself.
Oh, it's good play. Discards the Bitter Blossom in order to be able to replace it with
A land.
a land. That's what he wanted.
Gets the Secluded Glen and shows him.
Shows the Spellstutter
Shows him
Sprite.
the Spellstutter Sprite.
How big is he here?
A little bit. I wasn't paying attention.
5. That's it. Okay.
I'll come back in a minute. So Shuhei smashes into the red zone.
Paolo's at 6 here, by the way.
Yes. He's been at 6 for quite a while. He's been trying to stabilize. He's finally found the 5th land to potentially play a Massacre. Still can't find Damnation. So he's in chump block mode, trying to preserve life.
Goes to 4.
Does manage to trade with the Vanquisher.
3. Oh,
Is that Bitter Blossom?
that is a Bitter Blossom.
And another Vanquisher. Alright, I'm not sure Massacre is going to get the job done.
No, he has to draw Wrath here.
No, Massacre's not good enough. Damnation is nowhere to be found, and Shuhei Nakamura takes a 2-1 lead.
Traditionally, that would be the match, but we play 5 here on
We
the
do
first
play
floor.
best 3 out of 5, so Paolo's got to win 2 straight. Alright, I think we're going to try to do a throw down to Rich Hagan on the floor, who's been watching the other matches on the back table. Hopefully we'll get Rich's mic hot in a minute, bring you an update. We're 2-1 Nakamura over DeRosa here, and we'll be bringing you coverage of those other matches as this one ends. But these guys are flying through it, and I'm not going to leave this table. All right, well let's go see if we can talk to Rich.
Hey, how you doing, Randy? You
Pretty
keeping
good.
it
What's
right?
yeah, what's going on down there?
All right. Well, in the Gindy-Boney match, Gindy is now 2 to the good. Game 2, he got Colossus advantage, just like you said.
There you
Tama
go.
Pope advantage. He is 2-0 up.
Okay.
Now, in Roos Mahara, as we know, went 1-0 up. Roos came out of the gates. He said that's what he needed to do after boarding.
With his
get
Merfolk
the
deck,
game
sure.
done. And it was Adept, Sig, Curse Catcher, Tide Shaper Mystic. He just overran Mahara. So
Wow,
that's
that was a quick game,
1-1. Now, in Game 2, Belgian fans, you're not going to like this. Libert gets Colossus out with 8 mana. He has Magus. He's 1 turn away from equalizing. Chew comes out. Wrath of God. Here's a Revelark. Suspend a Gargadon. Seconds later, we're all done. It's 2-0 to Chew.
Yeah, I did not like the Spread Green matchup there.
Yeah, again,
All right, well, thanks, Rich. Keep an eye on those matches. Keep us up to date.
Will do.
killing Revelark does nothing.
Right. So, Younghan Chu up 2-0 on Marin Barrett. He's 1 game away from advancing to the semifinals. Charles Gindy up 2-0 on Nico Boney. Now, the way the brackets work, those winners would play. So the winner of Barrett versus Chu plays the winner of Gindy Boney. So looks we could be, 2 games away from Gindy versus Chu in the semis. On the other side of the bracket, we've got Nakamura 1 game away from his own spot in the semis, where he would be taking on either Mahara or Roos. Could potentially have Nakamura versus Mahara, the countrymen battling it out. Nakamura actually scooped Mahara into the
Right, I
top
was just
8
going to
too.
say, I was looking to see how many times he's played Lark, and the only time he came across it was Mahara, who he scooped in.
Right. Nakamura had already clinched the top 8, so he conceded to his fellow countryman. The
Yeah,
former world champ Mahara.
really, the only loss Shuhei's, one of the things we haven't really talked about, he only lost 1 real match all weekend.
Yeah.
He lost to Jim Harold,
Okay.
a multiple-time
Grand Prix
top
champion,
8
right?
top 8 player Grand Prix champion.
Playing a Merfolk then.
Yeah. That's his only loss on the weekend. He's got a scoop to Mahara, and he's got a draw with Marin.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah. Oh, Shu had a great tournament. He was on top of the Swiss. I mean, he didn't 8-0, but as soon as Guillaume, Rafa Tapra, and Stan Vandervelde, I think they both lost round 9, and then Shuhei was just on top all of day 2.
Right. And then Shuhei also took down Guillaume at some point, right? Let's take a look.
Oh, they're probably round 10.
Yeah, round 10.
So Guillaume... Yeah, interesting.
Right, it was not. Yeah, Guillaume went 9-0, right?
Right, he had to play Vandervelden. Guillaume beat Vandervelden, who the wheels came completely off.
On
Put up
day
like
two-
a
on
1-7.
day 2, everyone beat Vandervelde.
That's true. So Guillaume got the 9-0. And God, from 9-0, he went 2-4-1
Yeah.
down the home stretch.
By the way, we were a little harsh on the Quick and Toast deck, I think, in our wrap.
I agree with you. Man, I mean, Boucher finished like 17th, right?
Small number of players playing the deck. Guillaume finishes 13th. Yes, he has a week day 2. Manuel Boucher
Still
has...
finishes 13th.
And Manuel Boucher finishes 17th. And the Royals, while they were sort of low on the standings page,
Right.
had the same amount of points as Boucher.
Oh, wow.
At least one very well.
So all 4 of them made money?
Yeah.
I knew 4 of the 5 made day 2, but how much money did they make? It was up. I knew Boucher and Guillaume were both... I mean, 2 decks in the top 17 is an awesome performance for any team of, 5-ish guys. And then to have the Ruels... Ollie finished 27th.
A top 32 finish for him.
And then Antoine is not on page 1 of the standings. Still might have made money, but...
Yeah, no, it doesn't look like he did. Antoine did not...
All right. Meanwhile, Paulo and Shuhei are off to the races.
Oh, there we go.
2 lands apiece, no spells.
You said races. This is...
No pun intended. These guys just play quick. It's nice. Turn 2 Vanquisher for Shuhei. Paulo reveals a fairy. Still no plays.
It's interesting how much more Apollo's deck just plays like a traditional control deck. I mean, obviously the fairy deck always plays like a control deck, but he seems to lose a lot of his fairy components after sideboarding. And he's got to squeeze in so many cards.
It's true. So Shuhei powers up a Mutavault and just heads over for 5.
Yeah.
He is not interested in playing into a counter or a spell stutter I mean, Mutavault means you can spell stutter for 2 here, right?
Yes.
Shuhei doesn't want to walk into that. He knows the spell stutter's there.
I don't think he knows the spell.
Well, what was the reveal on the...
I believe the reveal was misbind click.
Okay. He suspects that the spell stutter is there. So, okay. Paolo says...
Terror your Mutavault.
Ah, fine, I'll just Terror Mutavault. Mutavault rather than Vanquisher. That's interesting.
Oh,
Wanted to kill a land. I think, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
the Vanquisher's hitting a little bit harder right now, but the Mutavault is
Well, the Mutavault's not going to die to those damnations.
also true. Yeah, it's one of those where I'm sure Paolo's play is correct. It's subtle, it's not immediately obvious. I'm sure Paolo got it right. Vanquisher comes over for 2 more. DeRosa at 14. Gets to 5 as his
Smells
Mastercore.
like Razor Master
Yeah,
Core.
he has totally changed his deck. He's taken out all of the beatdown elements, really. And his very deck is capable of racing if the matchup and the draw lend itself to that. And Paolo has gone really slow. He's gone to he's gone to Damnations, he's gone to Razormane Mastercores. He's really just morphed his deck into a much more straightforward control deck than what Fairies normally plays.
I wonder if Rich can give us an idea of what
What's in his sideboard?
because there's a lot of cards that have come in.
Have we seen Bitter Blossom from Paolo after sideboard?
We have, I don't believe we have.
No, we saw one because he clicked himself for it and put it on the bottom.
Right. Oh, yes, yes.
All right, Mastercore takes down
I
the
haven't
red
seen
one
one in
Vanquisher. We've seen plenty on Shuhei's side of the table. This looks fine though for Paolo. I mean, he's turned his deck into much more control-ish. Okay, Rich has gotten a look at Shuhei's sideboard. The Thought Seizes are in the board. Oh, I'm sorry. At Paolo's sideboard, the Thought Seizes are in the board, and the Scion of Runa are in the board.
So he's not relying on the traditional make a lot of guys, pump them up, attack you plan.
Right.
He
Like
realizes
Bitter
he's gonna have
Blossom
to
is an
sit back.
outpost, right? It's a control card.
He's got to sit back and answer all the questions that Shuhei is posing.
Yes, his deck is answers. It's exactly the right way to look at it. And you know what? Razormane Mastercore is a pretty good answer. Also, kind of a question.
Yeah.
Like, okay, I've dealt with your Ren's Run Vanquisher, and now I still have a 5/5. Wow, this is good magic. Both of these players just know exactly what they're doing. Good decks, good matchup. Shuhei activates a Treetop Village, sends it into the red zone.
Paolo adjusts his life total.
So 11 to 14. Alright, Mastercore. Take out the fairy token, right? Clear a path to get in there for 5? Or is he starting to get to the point where he's got to worry about the crackbacks from Treetop Village? This is a tough race. Ooh, discards the Damnation. That's interesting.
Well, it's obvious that Shuhei is not going to play into the damnation this game. He doesn't
Yep.
have he hasn't had the hand disruption to back it up.
So Mastercore crunch is over. Paolo is playing to race. Okay, Fairy comes down. Nakamura's at 8 now.
Upkeep, he's going to tap him out. Activates his Mutavault, makes sure he can activate his other Mutavault should something go wrong.
So Misbind Click needs a Fairy to champion. Mutavault, it appears to be the case, and Shuhei scoops it up. Wow. Paolo, Vitor Damo DeRosa sends us to Game 5. 2 games apiece. Boy, he's just playing so well. I feel like every little decision, there's all these little subtle decisions, and you just look back half a dozen turns later, and Paolo has navigated the game down a path that he knows is going to lead to victory. Shuhei looking back to his sideboard, it's kind of interesting. I mean, so Shuhei, it seems like Shuhei's been running his stock fairy sideboard plan, right?
Right.
You know, I'm going to bring in Bitter Blossoms, this is what I'm going to do. But at this point, I think he now understands how Paolo has built his deck, right?
Right.
It's not, maybe sometimes it's hard to deduce from a sideboard list how somebody views the matchup.
Both players are going into the tank here.
Yeah, it's true. Meanwhile, on the back table, Jan Roos now leads Makihito Mahara 2-1. Quick start, Cryptic Command for the Sower of Temptation, and that's that. Jan Roos takes a 2-1 lead on Mahara. So Roos was happy with the Rebel Arc matchup, felt like it was a good matchup for him, and he's up 2-1.
The only player we heard all weekend.
All weekend, the
I
only
would be
player who
happy
won the
to
Rebel
play
Arc,
Arc.
much less in the top 8, yeah. I like the way Paolo's got this deck configured after sideboarding.
Oh, absolutely. It's one of the really fascinating things about the fairy deck is just the way you can sort of tweak the dial from beat down to control.
It's got a bunch of different angles. It can play, you can race with it, you can play control with it, you can play tempo with it. And depending on the matchup, I mean, that's the real subtle thing that I think is the difference between a good Fairies pilot and a great one, is to understand, based on the matchup and based on even the draw, exactly, who's the beatdown, right? What's my role in this match? Given this draw, given this opponent, given this matchup. I think Paolo has nailed it. Razormane Massacre and Damnation, that's just a different fairy deck than Shuhei's used to playing against even.
And he more or less said that last night. He said that he was advantaged here. But again, this would be Shuhei has not taken a loss to fairies.
Yeah, he's got to break serve. We've actually had the player going first win all 4 games so far. I mean, I don't think that's the reason, but Shuhei does have the advantage of going first in Game 5. 1 game to find out who goes to the semis.
And this is just all business too with these guys. That's what I really like. I mean, we don't see a ton of table talk in these top 8 matches, but they're both just kind of going about the business, making sure that decks are shuffled, going through. You saw before Paolo's again shuffling his entire sideboard in each game, pulling it out. And they're just crisp and clean.
It's funny. There's a certain level of respect here too. I see, over the years when top Japanese pros are playing each other, they're sort of more quick, business-like, and when they're playing somebody that maybe they don't think is necessarily at the top of the game, they'll do a little mental games, they'll play games with tempo, they'll slow it down a little bit. And here it's like Shuhei's giving Paolo the respect of, you're one of us.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
both these guys know they are among the elite in the game.
These guys see each other all over the world. They go to the Invitational together. They go to Grand Prix together. Not traveling at the same time, but they see each other. Everyone's formed these, friendships and respect for the top players. Have a real respect.
Absolutely true. All right. 1 game, potential, really legacy-defining moment for these guys. One of these guys, they win this game, it's one thing to, okay, fine, another top 8 on the resume is nice, but to go deep and potentially win a Pro Tour, that's why these guys play.
And both of these guys have to be thinking that if they can get through this match.
Yes, absolutely.
That this might be their event.
So Nakamura leads with a Llanowar Elf. He's got a Mutavault and a Pain Land. Here comes the Vanquisher and another Llanowar Elf. Blisteringly fast start for Nakamura. 5 power out there after just 2 turns, plus a Mutavault. DeRosa reveals. Oh, there's Bitter Blossom. There's Garruk on turn 3. And a Bitter Blossom. Untaps 2 lands with Garruk. Plays the Bitter Blossom. Ridiculous. Does Shuhei even have any cards left in his hand?
Yes.
7 cards into play already. What a draw from Shuhei Nakamura.
A legacy-defining draw, perhaps.
We'll see if Paolo has seen Paolo stabilize from seemingly lost positions, but what does he do about Garruk and a Horde of Elves and a Bitter Blossom all at the same time? That's 3 different threats he has to answer.
Garruk and Bitter Blossom living together?
They don't seem like they should be friends. It's funny. We talk about how Paolo has turned his deck into answers, but there's 3 different questions on the table now.
Right.
And then you've got to figure out what's the right answer for each one. Okay, Mutavault goes in to attack Garruk. 2 counters deprived. Threats versus answers. Over the years, Magic has proven threats have the edge. In general, there are no wrong threats. It is harder to answer than it is to threaten.
Sure. You see, even a Major Saloon can be a threat.
Yeah.
In the right situation. Yeah, here's an
And
Imperious.
a perfect. Wow. Untaps a couple lands.
And attacks with a 3/3 Mutavault.
Oh.
For perfect. And 2/2/2 elves.
crazy.
I'm sorry, a 4/4 Vanquisher.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. That's 11 power attacking. Paolo needs to untap in Damnation, right? That's basically his...
And
I mean, that'll answer the creature threat, the like 13 power worth of 14 power worth of creatures that's in play. Oh, and then he'll still have to figure out a way to deal with Bitter Blossom and Garrick.
fortunately, he's got the Despotic Spectre in his deck.
One token. You play Blossom.
And I guess Paolo's Blossom deals with the Blossom, sort of.
Not one of those flyers.
Okay.
4/4. What do you do here? Do you just absorb 4 from the... Yep.
Yeah. Crunch the jump block Vanquisher, take damage.
Activate Force Field on Vanquisher.
Yep. Now what? Can Paolo stabilize? He's got 8 points of life left to play with. He's facing down Vanquisher, Llanowar, Perfect, a Fairy Token, a Bitter Blossom, and Garrick.
Red Cap.
Red Cap takes out the Perfect. Red Cap will be able to block here. So Paolo's got a Red Cap and a Fairy
take out
Token.
an Alpha token.
He's got 8 points of life left to play with. No, 7 points because of the Bitter Blossom.
Pendelhaven.
Now there's Pendelhaven. Very relevant land here for Shuhei.
Still sending in Mutavault. Or not.
Yeah, Shuhei's lining up an attack here. He's got his opponent on 7. It's game 5. 1 game to go to the semis. Vanquisher, Mutavault, Llanowar Elf, and a Fairy Token available as potential attackers for Shuhei Nakamura. He's got a Pendelhaven to help with one of his 1/1s. Do you Pendelhaven, Garrick to untap, and have Pendelhaven again? Is that relevant here? All kinds of action for Shuhei.
That actually seems pretty good to me.
You can have Mutavault tap to activate itself just to be clever. I don't think he's going to want to make a 3/3 this turn, right? I don't think.
No. With a full-size Garrick looming in the background behind Paolo. He's not activating.
No, it doesn't look like it. Alright, looks like Elf, Fairy Token, Vanquisher head into the red zone. Paolo's got a Red Cap and a Fairy Token available to defend himself with.
Okay.
The Red Cap can take out the Vanquisher here. Block it, come
Yep.
back, shoot it for 1.
What does he do with his Fairy Token? Right, he's going to make it. It's going to tap Pendelhaven
gonna tap
and
Pendelhaven.
soak up 2 damage. So Paolo lines up Fairy Token, blocking Fairy Token, and Red Cap versus Vanquisher.
I think I would just Pendelhaven my Elf here.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, Shuhei would rather get to an extra point of damage than save the Fairy Token. That makes sense. Red Cap comes back. Ooh, and pokes Garrick, not the Vanquisher.
Right. Shuhei thought his Vanquisher was going to die.
Yeah, clearly. It's interesting.
I'm done.
DeRosa is at 4 now.
3.
3 from the Bitter Blossom. Shuhei did use the Garrick to untap, which is like, why not Pendelhaven pre-attack if you're going to do that? What do you think of DeRosa's decision to red cap the Garrick instead of the Vanquisher?
Well, he's going to die next turn to overrun, so
Oh, okay.
he kind of has to. Of course, it's kind of scary to use the Garrick for the overrun with a lot of untapped mana on Paulo's side of the table.
Yeah, down here comes
You just have
command.
to-
And
Yeah, you just have to worry about the command.
all right, Paulo plays a land, shifts the turn. DeRosa's at 3.
Ataxia.
Shuhei's ready to attack. No commands tapping his men, so now Shuhei
Still
gets to
doesn't
line
get
up
his
the
lands
attack.
in there.
Sorry?
Still doesn't get his lands in there.
Here comes Llanowar Elf, Vanquisher, and Fairy Token.
So it looks like we have a Fairy Conclave and 2 Mutavaults, a red cap, and a token that can absorb some damage.
Shuhei has not attacked as aggressively as he could. Right? He's not sending in Mutavault.
Didn't send it.
Didn't send it in last turn either.
Right. And again, doesn't do double tricks with his Pendelhaven.
Right. So what's the block here, if you're Paulo?
I'm trying to figure it out. You have to activate your Mutavaults for sure. You have to block the flyer, chump
He's
block.
got-
He has no good block on the Vanquisher, and he has to trade 2 Mutavaults for it, or a Mutavault and a Fairy Conclave if he wants it.
Trade Mutavault Fairy Token, right? Or Mutavault Red Cap.
Yeah. He has to trade two cards for it. I mean, there's a right answer here, but it's really just it's just giving
It's
you
whatever Paulo does.
but it's just giving you the slimmest chance. Well, he's going to play a Vendilion click. It looks like.
Yeah, looks like.
Who is he going to click though?
Goes for Shuhei. Sees a backup Garrick and a Treetop Village. Lets him keep them.
Chooses not to use it.
Alright, here's Mutavault. Puts that in front of Llanowar Elf.
Red
Red
cap.
cap in front of the other elf. Manages to block everybody. Token on token. Click on Vanquisher. Red cap on Elf. Mutavault on Elf. So he actually found a pretty good block, right? He's
Yeah.
winning every matchup.
Right.
Except Pendelhaven gets to save one of the elves. And presumably he's going to use the Pendelhaven to beat up on the Mutavault.
Right.
Alright, so Paulo is going to save all 3 of his life points, soon to go to 2 with the Bitter Blossom. Mass carnage, Mutavault goes down. When the dust settles, the only thing left in play is 1 Llanowar Elf, which got saved by Pendelhaven, and Shuhei still has a Fairy Token.
Kind of surprised he didn't put the Treetop on the bottom and hope for something. Hope for a less useful land.
Interesting. Yeah, Paulo really likes to click. He just wants to know what's up, you know?
Yeah.
He just
that's what
wants
he said.
information about what he's playing against. I think he finds that extremely valuable. So another Mutavault from Paulo. He's got another Fairy Token, so he's at 2. More or less stabilize the board. How many honor counters on Garrick before he can overrun?
4. It can go right now, but it has to go at sorcery speed,
Right.
which means it's a real gamble with Cryptic Command.
Right.
So
So Shuhei
activate a Mutavault,
activates Mutavault, does not
does
use
not
Garrick.
activate Garrick.
I think Shuhei is just like, well, your Bitter Blossom's going to kill you. I just need to keep you busy while Bitter Blossom does my work, right? I think that's a lot of why Shuhei's been aired on the tentative side, right? He doesn't want to move all in because he doesn't need to. Paulo activates a Mutavault. Activates another Mutavault. Now, presumably, you go block, block, block. Pendelhaven is going to save the Llanowar Elf, so Fairy Tokens are colliding, Mutavault on Mutavault, Mutavault on Llanowar Elf. The Terror on the Elf in response to the Pendelhaven means that when the dust settles, Paulo keeps his Mutavault, and Shuhei is once again down to 1 Fairy Token. Once again, Paulo has defended all of his life, but Bitter Blossom continues to do good work. Now Shuhei plays a Tarmogoyf
And makes a 3-3 total.
and makes a 3-3. There it is. Shuhei Nakamura defeats Paulo Vitor Damarosa 3-2. Great match of Magic. Paulo played spectacularly, but Shuhei had his deck set up well against fairies. Shuhei Nakamura manages the 3-2 win.
And we're-
Wow, great match of Magic. Shuhei Nakamura through to the semifinals where he will take on the winner of the match between Jan Roos and Makihito Mahara. Mahara has taken game 4, if I heard correctly. We are now getting ready for another game 5 between another Japanese superstar trying to make it to the semifinals. It'll be the former world champ Mahara against Jan Roos, 2 games apiece. Meanwhile, another update for you on the back table. Charles Gindy is through to the semis.
Nice job by Charles
3-0
Gindy.
sweep over Nico Boni.
And when he's always a bad matchup.
Boni? Or Gindy?
Gindy.
Gindy had Colossus advantage, though. I mean, he's up at Colossus.
Maybe he's one of those guys, we see that with players all the time. Like, oh, my matchup's so bad.
Everybody thinks their matchup's bad. Talks themselves into playing tight, right? So, Nico Boni, the member of the Swiss National World Team Champion team, been doing great, qualified for this event with a top 50 at KL. So he went world team title, top 50 KL, top 8 Hollywood.
Top 32 in KL.
Top 32, sure.
Yeah.
He's the Swiss right now, between him and Emmanuel B. Those guys
And
are...
don't forget Christoph Huber, who is also on that team, who had himself a very impressive day at Worlds.
Good point. Clearly some good Magic being played there, but no more will be played this weekend, at least not on stage on camera. Charles Gindy is through to the semifinals where he'll be taking on either Yonghan Chu or Marin Lebert. Looking like Chu. Lebert has just got a disaster of a matchup there for the Belgian. So here we go. Mahara is playing a Revelark deck. Roos is playing Merfolk.
19.
Bruce, I need overhead ability to see the table. Oh, I've got it on camera. Yeah.
Looks like Jan Roos has come out of the gate very quickly here with Curse Catcher, and I think that's a Tideshaper Mystic. Tideshaper Mystic is, these guys are all Merfolk of the Pearl Trident Plus.
Yeah. Merfolk of the Bill Trident, good enough to play. Oh, now I can attack the Force Spike.
Or I
Very
can, make a land and island walk you.
All right, Roos is smashing with his Merfolk. Pretty good start. I mean, that's how he's got to win this matchup, right? He's got to come out fast. He's got to win the game before Mahara can stitch together his combo. In particular, he's got to try to win the game before Mahara can stabilize with mass creature removal. Looks like Mahara has got Pyroclasm in his hand.
Pyroclasm, he's got a Bonded Fetch, he's got a Mind Stone, he's got a Momentary Blink.
Must have just drawn the Mind Stone because he chose not to play it last turn. Couldn't Pyroclasm last turn because of the Force Spike threat.
I think it's a Promise.
Yeah, fair.
We've seen this from Mahara before, this just stare down the barrel.
Yes, look at that hand. Momentary Blink, Pyroclasm, land.
He's going to keep
He's gotta
staring at
keep
that hand
things.
until
He's
he
got a
finds the
Mind
right
Stone.
play.
What is the future sight card? The blue one?
That's the Bonded Fetch.
Oh, Bonded Fetch.
3 mana, O2, Haste, Looter, essentially.
There's not. He can Pyroclasm here, right? Is that? Decides instead for the Bonded Fetch. So he's willing to play that into a Force Spike.
So, no, the Force Spike can only do sorceries or instants.
Oh, you're right. My bad. So he gets his Looter into play, and that's an O2,
It's an
so he can
O2.
even block.
Absorb a point of damage, sift through his hand, find
Sure.
the cards.
As usual, Mahara finds the right play. Roos goes ahead and attacks. Mahara takes 2, and down comes another one. All right, Mahara uses the loot ability. Discards momentary blink.
Yeah, he can find it there later if need be.
Now what to play if you're Makihito Mahara? Mind Stone makes sense.
And Kitchen Finks.
Kitchen Finks,
One damage.
which once again cannot be countered with the Force Spike ability on those merfolk.
You see Sage's Dowsing.
Yes, it can be countered by that. Random Wizard ability means that Roos gets to draw a card as well. Sarah Angel flying over the festivities here.
Wondering why she's not on the board with
Where am
all
I?
these little merfolk. And
We saw Chiven Dragon this weekend.
we did multiple times.
Alright, so there's 4 1/1 merfolk on Jan Roos' side of the board. There's 1 0/2 looter for Makihito Mahara. 5 creatures, 4 power. Very different from what the red-green decks will bring out to fight with. Mahara has been building up his mana. He's been setting up his hand.
We also have a Mutavault here from
No, that thing's gigantic. I mean, Jan Roos has come out reasonably quickly in terms of permanence, but really needs like a Regery
really
or
like a
Lord,
Regery or
right?
Lord of Atlantis here, obviously.
There's an island over there too, right?
It looks like there's an island.
I know there was one in
And there's an
Mahara's
island.
draw.
There's with the
Oh, you can make one if you
you
have
can
to.
make one if need be.
But even just turning these guys into 2/2s takes, I mean, block becomes much less attractive for Mahara anyway. So Jan Roos sizing it up. Tied 2 games apiece. I gotta think Mahara feels pretty good about getting to turn 5 with 15 points of life left.
This is not the beatdown Jan was looking for.
All right, well, we're going to go down to Rich Hagon to let us know what's going on in the other semifinal match between Young-Han Chu and Marin Leibert. See if we can get Rich's mic up. How's it going down there, Rich?
Well, Randy, talk about victory and defeat. Moraine Leibert is out by 3-0. In that last game, I have been waiting for approximately 17 turns to tell you that Chu wins 3-0. And every single time, Leibert comes back, he finds a Scred, he finds a Cloud Thresher, he finds another Cloud Thresher, he kills a Solar. But eventually, Chu just has too much, and Lorraine spent a lot of that match with his head in his hands, scratching his head, going, I do not know what to do.
Yeah.
And he threw everything at Chu, and Chu still wins 3-0.
Yeah, great player. Hats off to Marin Leibert on the second top 8. I doubt it will be the last one, but that was a nightmare of a matchup. He was just not set up to beat Revelark. So we've got one Revelark deck through to the semis. It'll be playing against Charles Gindy. Got a better matchup. We'll see. Will there be a second Revelark deck in the hands of Makihito Mahara? Or will there be a Merfolk deck? Next couple turns are going to tell us that. So Roos had attacked last turn while we're getting the update from Rich. Got some damage through, but got a guy blocked by the 0-2. Now Mahara's ready to sweep the board.
Here comes
Pyroclasm.
So you can sack 3 Curse Catchers, but there's still enough mana here for...
Right. It's interesting that Mahara has not used his looter here.
Oh, he's used before the...
I mean, he's pyroclasming with an untapped looter, essentially waiting for Roos to make the first move.
Right.
Right, Roos can say, okay,
And
and
let Looter die.
and the looter will get to die. I mean, Mahara knows he's going to make this resolve, right? It's kind of an interesting little... If Roos responds, then Mahara can use it, but Mahara has pass priority. Alright, well, turns out Jan does in fact want to tap some lands here. And Mahara, I think, knew that. It's going to force Mahara to tap some lands in order to pay. Okay. Pay for that one. Do it again. No, now he lets the Pyroclasm resolve. And Mahara does not, in fact, get to use his looter. But Mahara does keep 2 lands untapped. Oh, Mind Stone in a land. Alright, well this is pretty much the way Makihito Mahara drew it up. 6, stabilize,
Go.
defend my life total,
Draw a card
clear the
with Mind
board,
Stone.
draw a card with Mind Stone. Now what? Mahara's at 6.
That's a big adjustment.
Yeah, I thought the life totals were wrong there.
That changes the math a little bit.
Still basically Mahara's game plan. He's facing off against just a Mutavault. Now what is that?
That is Sower of Temptation.
Sower of Temptation to steal nothing, and a Mutavault of his own. This is our
He does, have
last
a, he, does have
quarterfinal
a, he
match.
does have a blink in his yard.
True.
That Sower will steal.
I can steal Mutavault mid-combat, right?
It can. If he had 4 mana untapped. Now let's decide if he wants to send his Mutavault into Sower of Temptation or Mutavault. Or if he has some way to kill the Sower here before Momentary Blink comes online.
Looks like the blink in the yard means he's incentivized to
Oh,
trade.
there's Sunlance.
Sunland.
So last night, John Finkel played Merfolk,
Yeah.
and he was looking at Royce's list,
Mhm.
and he said, "Wow, why didn't I find Sunlance?"
Wow.
He's like, "That's the card I was looking for."
Wow.
No attack.
Fairy Conclave for Mahara. So no creatures in play. Sunlands took out the Sower. Both players have a Mutavault, and now Mahara also has a Fairy Conclave.
I'm sure as this
Life
game
totals
goes
are
longer
6
and
to
longer, it
19.
favors Royce no matter what the life totals are.
It's true. I mean, the Mahara should be fine with this. Ruth really needs to find a way to threaten those last 6 points of life before Mahara can stitch his combo together. Or even just control, right? Mahara can start plinking away at Fairy Conclaves in theory.
Yeah, and Mahara just sits there, thinks and thinks. A lot of land for Royce.
It's true. Yeah, no lords, right? No
Yeah.
Regeries, no Lord of Atlantis. Came out, creature, 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 creature.
Just a lot of Atlantis.
No lord, lots of Atlantis.
And
The landlord
we're
tends to
start-
favor the control deck.
Yep, that's gonna
Down comes
body double.
Body Double. What does he copy?
Copy Sower.
Is that the best choice?
Yep. Gets a
Time to
cryptic.
draw card.
Cryptic Command will counter and draw a card, so the dismiss option. Mahara left himself with a Mutavault and a Fairy Conclave to play defense.
Send in a 3/3 Mutavault here.
Down comes
Regery.
Regery,
Mirror Regery,
finally.
sorry.
And yes, Mutavault is indeed 3/3 now. And Mahara is no longer able to block it. He takes 3. There goes half his life total. All right, there's the threat that Roos needed. Can Mahara answer this one too?
What?
Rolls up his sleeves.
Mahara does not seem super happy about this development.
No.
That Regery off the top was just what Jan Royce needed. Also means future Merfolk off the top can deprive Mahara of his blockers.
Yes.
Like we said, John Finkel also chose to play Merfolk deck this weekend, and one of the reasons being what Finkel described as Regery the face.
Yes. What happens when I Regery your face? That was one of his emails to the list.
Mahara's got 2 cards to defend himself with. And here's Revelark with the Evoke ability.
Hear a little gasp from the crowd.
Yeah. That's
Sage's dowsing.
ouch. Mahara goes for the Evoke ability on Revelark. Tries to play it, but Ruth has the counter.
Doesn't get to draw a card, but I think he's fine with that.
I think he's fine with not drawing the card. Mahara's at 3. This is...
That's
Oh, there's Lord of Atlantis. There's the Merfolk spell. Taps the last blocker, and Jan Ruth is through to the semifinals.
Oh, he shows him
3
his other
games
card
to
with Sower of
2.
Temptation.
Sower of Temptation, wow.
There's the
So
decision he had to make.
key decision for Mahara. Does he go for the Sower or does he go for the Evoke ability on Revelark? If he goes for the Sower, then he's got the ability to potentially block in that situation, even if he walks into a counter. But if he goes for the Revelark, he's more likely to win. Wow. Hello again. Randy Buehler here with Brian David Marshall. Just watched a great set of semifinal matches. Shuhei Nakamura and Paulo Vitor Damo de Rosa go to 5 games. Shuhei gets the job done. And then Jan Roos versus the world champion Makihito Mahara also get a game 5. I really thought Mahara had that game stabilized. What happened?
The Lord showed up.
Yeah, that's fair.
They finally got there.
Roos came out with 4-1-1 Merfolk, and
and did a
Mahara
lot
was
of damage
able...
early
He did
while
do...
Mahara was waiting to stabilize.
Well, Mahara was trading his life off against control. I mean, it seemed like he was going to make sure he was going to set up. He was filtering his hand. He was developing his mana with Mind Stone. I thought it was fine. He winds up finally pyroclasming away the board. He's got 8 life. Okay, Mutavault takes him to 6. Now he's stable. He's got... That seemed fine, but then Reedry off the top means suddenly Mutavault wins the fight against Mahara's Mutavault.
Right.
That was
It would
key.
take both of his manlands there. Mahara would have had to trade
Right.
both of his manlands there.
Right.
And maybe he should have.
Maybe.
I mean, he had plenty of mana at the end of that game. I mean, maybe he just needs to get the persistent threat of Mutavault off the board, a 3/3.
Well, I think Mahara's looking at a hand where he's got the Revelark.
Right.
I mean, I didn't see which one he drew that turn, but we know that on the next turn, he had both Revelark and Sower of Temptation. He's also got Momentary Blink in his graveyard. So he's got some action,
Right.
but the key is when Reedry off the top is then joined, well, he doesn't see the Lord of Atlantis, but Reedry, he's got to deal with something right then. He's got the potential to lose a blocker because of the Reedry's tap ability, decides, you know what, I'm just going to go for it now. Stuff's starting to get a little out of control. I got to go for it. He goes for the Evoke ability on Revelark. Gets it countered. Roos was sitting with a counter. I don't know. You think Sower's a better play there?
I think he needs to trade the lands for 2
Trade
lands
both
for
of his
1,
lands for the Mutavault?
and then untap and steal the Reedry, which is going to make all blocks untenable for the rest of the game with his Sower of Temptation.
Did he have the mana untapped to double block with the lands?
I'll have to go back and look. I thought he did, but maybe he only had the option of one or the other.
I think he had the option of one or the other. Seem to remember. I don't remember exactly what
Anyway,
happened
I
that turn.
think so, taking the cheaper play. He knows what counter spells. These guys have looked at each
If he,
other's deck
can,
lists.
if he had double block available, then I definitely see your point.
And
Now, on the last
if he
turn,
if he steals the Reedry, when Royce plays the Lord of Atlantis, all of Mahara's Mutavaults are 3/3 Island Walkers,
Right.
or 4/4 Island Walkers.
no, that's what I'm trying to. On the last play, if he Sowers to steal Reedry, I mean, he was potentially walking down into the same counter. To be fair,
But he can pay for it. To pay 3. That's the difference.
Interesting. Yeah, I wonder why he went. He clearly went for the more powerful play, but Sower for Reedry seems good enough. I don't know. Very interesting game. Lots of great Magic just got played there. What we're going to do now is we're going to go to lunch. When we come back from our lunch break, Jan Roos is going to be playing against Shuhei Nakamura. He's just beaten one Revelark deck. Now he's got to go play against an Elf deck. The other Revelark deck's on the other side of the bracket. We've got Young Han Chu playing against Charles Gindy in that semifinal. So some great Magic. You've got Elves versus Merfolk. You've got Revelark versus Gindy's playing an Elf deck as well,
Playing
right?
an Elf deck, yeah.
Both the Elf decks have gotten through to the semis. Revelark, Merfolk.
Fairies
We'll find
are
out.
gone.
Fairies are
from
gone.
the tournament. Elves are still standing.
Fairies are gone. World champions are gone. Brazilians are gone. Belgians are gone. We did lose lost 3 of our 4 top 8 veterans that round. It's kind of interesting. Right, 4 of these 8 had been here before. Lebert lost, Mahara lost. We had to lose one in the Paolo versus Shuhei match. It was Paolo. But Shuhei Nakamura, relative, in terms of resumes, sure looks to me like this is his Pro Tour win.
He has to be the favorite to win.
Has to be the favorite to win. I completely agree.
Is this like jinxing the no-hitter?
We'll find out. Shuhei Nakamura has been here 5 times before. He has not gotten the job done after lunch. We'll be back. We'll find out if Shuhei can pull it off,
when he goes back to work,
or if it's going to be one of the top 8 rookies. Stay tuned. We'll be back in about an hour.